Hello and welcome to this new section. So in this section we are going to discuss about how to implement array as ADT. We'll see a function known as display and we'll first create array as ADT. Okay, which is our most important concept. So I have told you in the previous slide that these are the three important things for an array. And how can we define these three properties? By using a user defined structure. Okay, so we should create a structure array. Okay, and in this I should define a pointer because we have seen the use of this pointer. How can we dynamically allocate? Okay, we have seen the importance of it in the previous video. So you just define star capital A, int size and int length. Size for what? Total size. Okay, and length, number of elements. Okay, so let me first define an object of this structure. So we use struct array as arr. Okay, so here an object is created. Now in order to take size from user, we can define cout enter the size. Okay, so we can take the size. In how can we take the size? Arr dot size. Okay, this is the way you can take it. Then we cout. We first define the enter. We first define the n. So now let's enter the number of elements you want. So enter the number of elements you want. Okay, /n and see in the number of elements. Okay, n. Now we now assign the memory to that pointer. How can we do this? How can we assign? So first of all, declare the memory. How can we do it? We'll do it by int arr dot capital A is equal to new int of arr dot size. Okay, so this is a way how we can able to assign. Okay, how we assign the size to an array. After assigning the size, or we can say that memory, we now enter the elements. Okay, we can now enter the elements which we have previously defined this thing. So for that we need to define the for loop. Okay, so for I, int I is equal to I smaller than n I plus plus. So this is how you can take the input and assign the each element. So arr dot a of I. So we can get the So we can get all the elements. Okay, here we get all the elements, and now these are the number of elements. So we assign ARR dot length is equal to n. Okay, this is how you can assign. So as I told you that display is an abstract data type, so we define a function void display. We take struct of type ARR, array ARR. Okay, so this is a function for display elements, for displaying elements. You know, writing comments is a good programming practice, so make it a habit. So if we want to display all the elements, so we write for int I is equal to 0, I smaller than ARR dot, how many elements are there? Length colon I plus plus. So we display it, your ARR dot A in I. Okay, and let's define some space between the elements that we have entered. Okay, now we have to call this method. So how we call? Display and pass the object of ARR. Okay, simple logic it is. Okay, now let's see, is it working? Yes. So enter the size. So let me first give the size as 10. Enter the number of elements, let's say 5, and now let's assign the elements like 4, 7, 8, 4 and 9. So this is how you can able to see these are the elements, okay, which display function puts. So now you have seen that how we have to define the abstract data types. Okay, this is a way of defining an abstract data type. Very important for your interview questions, because you have to make, in order to build a software, you have to see this protocol. Okay, you have to analyze this protocol in order to develop an application, let us suppose. So there are some menu options which are fixed in size. So those menu options, for that you need to use this array. Okay, for applications, for desktop applications, if it is, then you have to analyze this concept. Very important for you to understand these concepts, because the most important thing is to understand this coding part. Okay, so this is how display function works. Okay, and in the next section we'll see how we can do other operations as well. These are the operations that we need to know. These are the methods. Display we did, and another elements we will see. So if I tell you that how much time complexity of this display function, what is the time complexity of this display function? So display function traverses each and every element. So the time complexity taken by this display function is capital O of, so I should say that the time complexity is O of n, because it is traversing each and every element. So this display function will complete the time in O of n time complexity. Okay, so this is it for this section. We'll see you in the next. Happy data structures!